The wind howled across the Wyoming plains that Christmas Eve, sharp enough to cut through cloth and bone, but Clara kept walking, clutching her small satchel, and the single letter that had brought her to the sprawling Winters Ranch. Her boots were worn thin, her breath fogging in the cold, and her heart pounding with the fear of being found. Just days ago, she had fled an arranged marriage to a man twice her age, a man who saw her not as a wife, but as property. And she had promised herself she would never return to that life. The job offer to tutor an 8-year-old girl had been a miracle, a temporary shelter before she decided where to run next. When she finally reached the ranch gate, she took a deep breath and whispered, "Just until Christmas. Then I'll disappear." Again, she didn't expect the ranch house to be so beautiful. Lights twinkling along the eaves, pine garlands wrapped around the porch, and soft smoke curling from the chimney like an invitation. But what surprised her most was the man who opened the door. Tall, broad-shouldered, warm brown eyes that watched every movement with careful patience. He introduced himself only as Evan, the caretaker watching over the ranch for the holidays. He didn't mention he was the actual owner, heir to one of the largest land empires in Wyoming, a millionaire who preferred to be seen as a simple rancher. Clara, shivering and timid, met his gaze for only a moment, but something inside her settled unexpectedly, a strange feeling of safety she hadn't felt since childhood. Evan stepped back, letting her in, his voice low as he said, "Lily's been waiting for you." Lily, his niece, bounded down the stairs like a burst of sunshine, arms flinging around Clara instantly, declaring, "You look like a Christmas angel." A laugh escaped Clara before she could stop it. She spent the day helping Lily read, showing her how to decorate a small wooden ornament, and the little girl clung to her as if she'd known her forever. Evan watched from the doorway, the fire softly lighting his face, and the more he saw Clara, gentle, patient, scarred but strong, the more something unfamiliar tugged at his heart. As evening fell and snow thickened into a heavy storm, Clara stepped onto the porch to stare at the quiet fields. Evan joined her, draping his warm coat over her shoulders despite her protests. "You're freezing," he murmured. "And you're too kind," she whispered back, her voice trembling not from the cold, but from years of fear. Evan didn't ask why her eyes carried so much sadness. Not yet. But he did say the words she desperately needed. "You're safe here, Clara, no matter what storm brought you." She didn't know how much he meant it, or how much it would change her destiny. By morning, the ranch was buried in white, the blizzard sealing all roads, trapping Clara in a world she hadn't expected, one filled with warmth she was terrified to accept. Right. She made cocoa for Lily, taught her to read Christmas stories by the fire, and helped her paint holiday cards. Each time Clara smiled, Evan felt his chest tighten as if someone had finally turned the lights back on inside him. But as the storm grew heavier, so did the secret Clara carried. After lunch, when Lily ran upstairs to fetch a ribbon, Clara hesitated by the fireplace where Evan was fixing a lantern. "Evan," she whispered, twisting her fingers, "I might not be able to stay after Christmas. Someone might come for me." He looked up slowly, seeing fear flicker in her eyes like a trapped bird. He set the lantern aside, stepping closer. Who would come for a woman who just wants to live in peace? The truth poured out of her in shivering breaths. The forced engagement, the threats, the endless years of being treated like she didn't matter. Clara's voice cracked as she said, "I thought running would give me a chance, but I have nowhere safe to go." Evan's jaw tightened, with a rage that surprised even him. He reached for her hands carefully, as if afraid she might break. "Clara, no one will hurt you on my land." But she shook her head. "I'm nobody. I came here with nothing. I'm only a tutor for a little girl who deserves someone better." Before Evan could speak, Lily came running back holding a drawing that nearly stopped Clara's heart. 3 figures holding hands under a Christmas star, standing in front of the ranch. Evan, Clara, and Lily. "It's our family picture," Lily announced proudly. Clara's tears spilled immediately. The picture showed everything she wanted, but never allowed herself to hope for. She tried to explain, voice breaking, how she didn't belong, how she would only bring danger to their doorstep. But Evan stepped forward, wiping her tears gently with his thumb. "Clara, you belong more than you think." She blinked, confused. And then Evan finally told her the truth, that he was not a caretaker, not a hired hand, but the true owner of the ranch and a man of means. "I didn't tell you because I wanted you to see me, not the money," he said softly. "And now that I know who you truly are, brave, gentle, and stronger than any storm, I'm not letting you walk out of my life." Clara's breath caught. "Evan, why me?" He cupped her face with both hands. "Because you make this empty house feel like home." Snow drifted past the window as he sank to one knee, Lily squealing behind him. "Clara," he said, voice shaking with emotion, "will you be my bride? Not out of fear, not out of need, but because I love you and I want to build a life with you, for the first time in years." Clara's heart felt light. She whispered, "Yes," and Evan pulled her into his arms as Lily cheered. Christmas Eve became the night she stopped running and started living.